Hello, good afternoon or good evening from Ghana.
Good afternoon.
Great. It is a great pleasure for me to be joining all of you this evening, afternoon, wherever you are, for the grand opening of the SDGs Innovation Challenge. And I want to, before I proceed, to congratulate all of you for your selection into this maiden program. It is one of the prestigious programs that we are launching on the continent of Africa. And you must be very privileged to be among the very few selected delegates or participants in this innovation challenge. And I want to thank you, and I invite all of you to participate as much as possible and to contribute to shaping a discourse around the sustainable development goals going into the future. As many of you know, we launched the African Youth SDG Summit somewhere in 2017 as a platform to engage and inspire youth actions on the SDGs. And ever since then, the summit has evolved to become an important platform on the continent. And therefore, also for the fact that this year marks the beginning of the decade of action for the SDGs, it's important that we move beyond theories and begin to practicalize the SDGs in our everyday life. And consider the times that we are, the fact that we have on our hands health crisis that is disrupting several programs around the world. It's important that we continue to re-envision how we can engage the SDGs practically and be able to come up with solutions that will be able to address some of the challenges that we have. So the vision inspiring the SDG Innovation Challenge it goes beyond what we have been doing by looking also into the future and being inspired by the current happenings. We have come up with this initiative, and we aim to transform the SDGs Innovation Challenge into a pan-continental, community-driven, empowerment-based platform for young people of all walks of life, background, origin, and geography to be able to connect, collaborate, and access needed support structures to help build a sustainable, equitable, and peaceful society envisioned by the agenda 2030. And so as we open this challenge, I want to encourage you that this is not going to be a one-time off event, but something that we are looking forward and building on from the lessons that we are going to be learning this time into the future. As you know, the third African Youth SDG Summit is just a week away, happening from the 4th to 5th November. And so you, participant of this challenge, will be privileged to be sharing your ideas and the innovations that you are going to create at the final of the summit, the final day of the summit. And for me, I think that is going to be a great platform to share your work and to connect with some of the finest partners that we are bringing on board for this innovation challenge for the summit. And so I want to invite all of you to participate fully and engage as much as possible. It's a platform to network. We are very privileged to be having some accomplished partners and mentors on the team. And therefore, I know that this is going to be a life-changing experience for all of you who are privileged to be joining us today. So I want to thank you all for joining, and also to thank our guest and keynote speaker, Mr. Nelson Amo, for making time out of your busy schedules to join us this afternoon or this evening. And obviously to the rest of the team, Lars, Mafo, Kwabina, and all the organizations that we all represent, and Francis, for that matter, who just joined us recently. I want to thank all of you for your commitment and dedication to this idea. I believe that the SDGs are opportunities for us to rewrite the story, not only for Africa, but for the rest of the world. And if that will happen, we need young people to take action. We need young people leading the way and transforming their communities. And so I believe that at the end of the day, we can look back when we reach the year 2030 and see what we have been able to achieve. The kind of innovations that we are able to come as a result of our collaborations. And so without much ado, I want to officially declare this meeting and this innovation challenge to be officially open. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for the opening words, for the remarks. Very meaningful, very important. And before we move on to our featured keynote speakers, I would like to invite my colleague Emmanuel Marfo to give a little bit of background about who our keynote speaker is, what brings him to the stage, and then we set the stage for our featured keynote speaker of today. So, Emmanuel, over to you.
Thank you, everyone. Today we happen to have a wonderful person in our midst. I want to introduce him. Some few other introduction that will come through his conversation with us as well. Mr. Nelson Amo has experience in business development, grant making, business model innovation, growth planning, and project management in the profit and non-profit sector. So he's been working in Accra, Berlin, and Johannesburg. He holds an executive certificate in Oxford, in the Oxford Social Finance Program from the Oxford University Said Business School. He has an MSc Development Studies from London School of Economics with a special interest in business model innovation at the bottom of the pyramid, exploring the point of convergence between business and development, using business as a force for development. He has a certificate in unlocking finance for emerging markets and developing economies, a World Bank course, as well as a certificate in startup accelerators in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Mr. Nelson is a grant manager and a program lead for MLab Ghana, which is a US 1.2 million project under the Ghana Ministry of Communication with funding from the World Bank, with the objective of promoting the development of digital startups, supporting them to develop their prototype and launching on the market. He is also a grant manager for a US $3.2 million component of $10 million SME fund in Ghana, sponsored by InnoHub through a World Bank grant. Mr. Nelson, who is the CEO of InnoHub, serves as a country lead for Synapse Enterprise Program in Ghana and Liberia, as well as the InnoHub program. We are happy to have this evening our keynote speaker, Nelson, who will be helping us as a key person to share with us insight in our work in the SDG space. So let's welcome Mr. Nelson Amo from InnoHub. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for the introduction, Emmanuel Marfo. I appreciate that. I want to thank the organizers of the SDG Innovation Challenge 2020 for having me to be part of this. I deem it a big honor to be addressing this August occasion. It's quite a difficult task to, in 15 minutes, speak to SDG 3, 4, 9 in the framework, considering what they all stand to offer. But I coined the topic of sustainable or attracting sustainable financing for health, inclusive education, and resilient infrastructure. And all of these things are areas that the 3, 4, 9 goals seek to address. There's a triangle I seek to also speak to. At the top of the triangle, I'm looking at the innovators, and for them, I'm talking to building the right innovative business models. And then at the base to the left, I'm speaking to asset holders or capital holders, and I'm speaking at building the right financing vehicles and pushing them into innovations. And then to the last side, I'm speaking to the topic of curating the conversations between the holders of capital and innovators. And that basically addresses intermediaries like accelerators, incubators, and various providers of support for social innovators. When it comes to building the right business models, and here I'm speaking to most of you being innovators, I think that is one of the key things that you would see on the framework of impact investing. There has been a previous report by the Global Impact Investors Network, and that was in 2016, that mentioned that, and specifically looking at West Africa, they cited the fact that there wasn't much traction on impact investing in that part of the world, particularly because of two reasons. One was lack of a viable pipeline. And that basically means if an asset holder, or let's say holder of capital, could be an impact investor, could be an angel investor, comes over to some of these places looking for social enterprises, social innovators who have a very good model to invest in, most of the chances, most of the times, they don't have businesses being investment, inclusive and equitable education, building resilient infrastructure. The question would be, what does it take to build the right kind of business models that really attract and appeals to impact investors to want to commit to and put their funding in with an eye on potential returns, being social returns, as well as return on investment, being capital returns. Again, we want to look at the question of building the right value proposition as social innovators, which will attract all your key stakeholders. And for your key stakeholders, it's not only your investors or the impact investors, even the right value proposition for your clients who are going to be the end customers to pay for what you have. And we need to start thinking around the question of business model and innovation at the bottom of the pyramid, or the are you addressing and audience or the customers and this to context. Really, it's quite a difficult situation when you're talking to an impact investor, and most of these impact investors now are looking. Some of them will say, "I want 2x returns, I want 3x my money in 3 or 4 years," but also they want to see the impact on the bottom line of people, profit, and planet. So you seem to have to be magical in addressing all of these requirements. Unlike typical investors who just want to say, I put in X and I make Y and I'm fine, you have much a bigger requirement to be able to attract impact investors. You want to show how much. So if you're into education, what kind of communities are you addressing? What are the outcomes of the investment? Or if I put in money, what is the social return on my investment? Before you also show me the capital return on my investment. Unless it's a grant making body that may not be looking for the profit, most impact investors would require to see both the profit returns as well as the social impact on the investments they'll be doing. They may want to see a dollar for dollar return. Others may just want to say, just make an effort. Some of them would also tell you, I'm going to make a repairable grant investment into your vehicle. Let me see, if you do well, you pay back. If it fails, it's fine. But typically, you don't have impact investors in Africa doing some of these vehicles. So it really behoves on us, social investors or social innovators, to be able to understand the kind of stakeholders you deal with, investors, when it comes to your customers, the society, and for us really building the right business models with their ability to pay in mind, and the kind of payment structures or payment terms you want to have in mind to make sure that you are able to generate revenues to be sustainable. When it comes to investors, you're still telling them that if you put in money, I can generate a return. I can give you back the money if you want 2x in 4 years, which means 2 times their investment in 4 years, or it will say 3x in 5 years. How can you show them that? But before you even get to that point of the conversation, they still want to see how you are impacting on the triple bottom line, whichever area you pick. They want to see how well you're able to address that. What do you want to do? Because I have just 15 minutes, I plan to spend just about 4 minutes on each of these and then use the final few minutes to talk about the how we helping on that. I'll move on to the second part of the triangle, which is basically addressing holders of capital. How do we build the right financing vehicles to spur on and to drive social innovation, particularly in emerging and developing economies, which is a point of interest for me. One of the things that you typically find is that you see a fund that would come into an emerging economy, saying I typically less and I'm looking for the right kind of, and these are my requirements on my actually 2 years and not find any kind of deal to it. One of the things which we really are pushing for and promoting is for some of these funds to start investing in pre-investment TA. And pre-investment TA basically would be your own pipeline building mechanism where if you want to do deals worth $500,000, can you spend about $10,000 building a number of ventures from which you could eventually choose the one that would make you the wins you are looking at. So for impact investment to work, there is the need for funds and investors in funds to give a closer attention to pre-investment and possibly post-investment TA, which is what is going to make sure you don't sit down for 3 years waiting to look for the right deal, but you are going to be deliberate about building the right deal to put your funding in. And of course, as a fund, you don't want to spend your time building these ventures through the TA program. And that's where the third component of my triangle comes in as an intermediary. So as a fund, you may want to form strategic and intelligent partnerships with various intermediaries who would spend their time, who can now roll up their sleeves and work with these ventures to make them investment ready. So if you are an accelerator or you are a hub, you're an incubator, you are a professional service provider working with social innovators, what do you have to do to make sure you are curating the conversation between the demand and the supply side? I argue that most of the times we need to think around topic of building investment ready ventures. And most of the times, if we run programs in incubators and hubs and accelerators at what you're doing and why you're doing it, but the end game, how do I make this social venture or this social innovation investment ready to the point where they could be in need? And if we look at that, you also start thinking of what kind of capital sources are you going to match them to? What are their requirements? What is their checklist? And that helps you to design the right programs to be able to make these ventures investment ready. And as you do that, you can match them to that. So these are the three main areas of the topic of sustainable financing for health, inclusive education, and resilient infrastructure. But moving on, Clay, to how we have done it or we are doing it at InnoHub, we first of all began by calling ourselves a social venture accelerator because of the focus we had. But at the point, we noticed that once you said social venture, people typically were thinking it's just about NGOs and what have you. So we just changed the name Business Accelerator, but we have a clear clear focus on the impact angle. Moving forward into our journey, we shifted from this accelerator to start calling it Investment Readiness Accelerator. So there's a clear focus on really program should really look at building the right systems and tools to become ready. Over time, we've begun using the language venture building, working out as a venture, and we look at building you up into a stage where we can still say you are investment ready. But beyond that, there is clear value created for you as a business. Again, beyond our accelerator, we also realized that stage funds that wanted to do $100,000 investment in most of these ventures, or even $50,000 green ventures, which is very much for smart businesses we have enough about 3 million USD from the World Bank to be able to set up this fund. And in this year, the fund has done up 2 different deals, close to $1 million in total. That is basically in this climate smart space. And essentially, the plan is to move over time, even towards West Africa. We also noticed that when it comes to early stage financing, there are those who would need a $10,000 ticket, $25,000 and all of that. And for that, we've designed a vehicle called Accra Angels Network, which is essentially bringing through various individuals who have some disposable income to be able to do the early stage investments that you'll be looking at. We're yet to do our first, though we currently partner with the Africa Angel Investors Network to run training for our local angels. About 20 of them are going through the training right now with ABAN. And the idea is that once they go through that, they as angel investors would understand what it takes to do early stage investment. So financing, again, so SDG Innovation, really, it's a big elephant that you need a multifaceted approach to drive the right results for the ecosystem. So we need to build the right ventures, the right business models. We need to build the right financing vehicles. And you need to also build the right kind of intermediaries in the ecosystem who can curate the conversation between the supply side and the demand side of capital, and to make sure you are investing clearly in these areas that we're looking at, especially for today's conversation, investing in health system, in education systems, investing in resilient infrastructure, and particularly in a COVID and post-COVID world, what kind of investment would you need to make sure some of these things are really happening? But most importantly, since I'm addressing mostly social innovators, I have a bigger interest in how do we make sure we are building the right value proposition that would make a potential investor see that you tick all the boxes of impact on the bottom line, but most importantly, if they are looking for returns on their investment, you can clearly show a reputable system that would help this investment on that. On this note, I would also congratulate you for being on this program and looking forward to having some results come in a few years to come. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm done for now.
Thank you very much, Nelson. This has been truly enlightening. We really appreciate you sharing your insights, sharing your advice and wisdom on this forum, and of course, aiming for, as you said, the social innovation, the collaborative space is the way also that we're hoping to tackle and accomplish as part of this SDG Innovation Challenge. We're really pleased to have you, and thank you again, Nelson, for joining on this call and for this feature keynote speech. It will be available as recording later on, so everybody who didn't have a chance to register on time or who dropped off in the meantime, you will be able to go back and listen in again. Thank you very much again, Nelson. And next up on the list, I am inviting my colleague Kobana from Tech Farm Hub to take the next step and introduce us to what this SDG Innovation Challenge is all about. Kobana, over to you.
Thank you very much, Las, and thank you very much all of you who have joined us today in this beautiful event. I do believe that this event that we call the SDG Innovation Challenge has come to stay, and this being the maiden one, we're surely going to build some great innovative ideas out there for people to see it benefit. Now, the entire SDG Innovation Challenge is being organized in a partnership between Nelson Foundation, Youth Advocates Ghana, YAG, Grassroots Hub Ghana, and Tech Farm Hub. The SDG Innovation Challenge is a virtual ideation for motivated young people to develop practical solutions, ideas for challenges. Focus is towards dealing with issues at the grassroots level. And we are engaging in approximately about 50 hours online hackathon style of environment, where participants will be connected around shared interest in challenges faced by their communities and in interdisciplinary teams of 4 to 7 people who will work together throughout the SDG Innovation Challenge to unpack the problem statement of their choice and design tangible solutions and ideas encircling around the 3 thematic SDG focuses, which is goal number 3, good health and well-being. Goal number 4, that's quality education. And SDG goal number 9, which is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Now, the SDG Innovation Marathon, which we have by today started, which is beginning from 26th to 28th of October 2020. So what we are doing right now is one exciting opportunity that all of us will be part of for the next couple of days coming. And we are leading up to the Africa Youth SDG Summit, which is the platform where we're looking to bring all winning ideas and teams to a great platform where they can be showcased and their solutions virtually put on the summit, which is the Africa's biggest sustainable development youth congress congregation. Really looking at it, we are focused on promoting the SDGs and of course post-related COVID era. So the theme that we are holding on to throughout this period is securing the 2030 commitments beyond the post-COVID era. And if you look deep into it, it's much connected with the Africa Youth SDG Summit objective, which is something that shows that definitely this SDG Innovation Challenge is very much connected with what already has been going on for the past 3 years going. And we're going to have an online edition, and our focus is fostering knowledge. We want to have people to foster knowledge, share knowledge, cooperate, prioritize pressing solutions and issues, and increase the complex and diverse global issues. We want to find best ways to bring the best ideas, the best innovations, the things that will cause the next generation to see that what we have started has definitely come to make an impact. And we are looking that the call for application began sometime around 20th to 25th. We have gone through the application process. And amazing, we had a number of participants coming in. Exciting to know that within 20th to 25th, the period under which we did the recruitment, we had about 254 participants expressing interest to be part of this first edition. And I must say that has really given us a leverage to know that going forward, I'm sure many more people will soon be coming to such a great platform. Now, throughout this period, we are looking to engage these particular groups of 254. They were screened, and at the moment we have 3 main groups who are about 90 of them. So we have goal number 3, having about 30 different participants selected. We have goal number 4, equally selected 30 participants, and another 30 for goal number 9. Now, these groupings are just the first phase because we are looking to go through some approach of engaging with them. So we're going to have 4 to 7 participants per group, and they are going to come up with some innovative approach to get their ideas finally pitched to a group of judges. And they will be using audio visuals, they'll be using some video input to show what it is that they believe they have done or the innovation they believe they can put out there. And at the moment, we are looking to engage with them using some technological tools. Why? Because like most of you have participated in this open ceremony, we are trying to use the opportunity of what post-COVID has presented to us, which is connecting people via technology. And this is the next phase that we believe that will take young people, especially young people from developing countries and other places who need to understand the use of internet and technology beyond just everyday life. And so we do know that we intend to get our participants to engage with us using our Zoom platform as we are having now. We do also have our Facebook platform, which is also going to give some opportunity like this particular session for participants to join in. For those who have been selected, we are introducing them to Slack. It's an instant communication and collaboration tool, and the primary collaboration platform used by SDG Innovation Challenge. And we will make active use of Slack throughout this virtual innovation marathon. And it's going to help us to maintain the communication between all of our stakeholders. And we'll be using it to also engage them in terms of sharing of their innovations and sharing of that innovation with a panel of judges who at the moment are already constituted and ready to go. So if you are an innovator out there, very soon our colleague Lars will be sharing some key information with you. We would encourage you to stay connected with your emails and be able to stay interactive also on Slack, because there we're going to build the connection. The magic is going to build in there. And so a lot of information will be shared on those platforms. Going forward, we also have Google Drives. So we're going to create shared platforms where most of you who are our participants who are going to pick your innovations to share certain files. And we'll be also sharing certain files from the point of view of the organizers to enable all of us to be on the same page and build the innovation going forward. We'll be using YouTube as a way to get those who don't particularly are in session with us beyond this particular opening ceremony. So whatever you miss, as we are doing now, whatever it is that you have missed or you could miss, we're going to be creating an opportunity for you to still go back on our YouTube channel and view whatever it is that we have in there, because we know that the content of what we are about to produce is worth sharing. And it will be very great to have you be part of what we do out there and when we put it on YouTube. So stick with us and go subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm sure it's going to help. And of course, do same for all our partner agencies who will be broadcasting this particular content. Of course, we'll also be using a lot of emails. We intend to use SDG Innovation Challenge, have -all at meltonfoundation.org. That will be one of our emails that we're going to use. So anything concerning what we are doing and how we're going to build a partnership and getting the work done, we'll encourage you. We are doing an e-world, so get interactive with us on emails as well, and let's build this all together. Now, it's a community affair, so what we are doing has certain rules. So definitely participants should know that it's going to go by some rules. So when you go into the shared files and folders that we're going to be giving you, I've told you, check out with Lars. Lars will soon send you certain key information on how to go about that. Now, it shows you the community rules. It tells you the engagement rules, as in the form of the teams. So how you're going to form your teams and how the teams are going to practice and work together so as to get as result, because what we're looking is impact. Your ideas will go beyond just everyday things. So we want to see impact. Now, we're going to have additional observations and some disclaimers. Of course, if you go into the document that we share with you, you have all that information. Someone is asking, so what is this all about? I mean, if I end up having my idea selected, okay, so what is it I get? Oh, you get some very good stuff. You know, the good of the business is that we are having partners who really understand the investment and the business development and the ideation and incubation approach to building your ideas into reality. And all these partners are making this a reality for anyone who go out there to be part of our 3 to be winners of the maiden SDG Innovation Challenge. So some of the awards are, well, you're going to get business development and registration support. That's one key thing. Many young people are running ideas and businesses, and if only they had put themselves through the statutory processes, they should be making some good deals. But many of them don't know how it goes about and how the best they can build their businesses. So we're going to use the platform as winners, as part of your package. You're going to have an opportunity to have yourself go through that. And of course, we're going to have some business incubation and pro bono mentorship. We have key quality seasoned people who are going to mentor all our winners. And some of the participants definitely who come with unique, exceptional innovations will surely be experiencing some of these things. But for the core 3 people who win, be sure that we're going to engage you with institutions and partners within this project that will enable you to have the best of the learning that will get you to be a good deal out there. We're also going to have some recommendations to investment matchmaking opportunities. As you can see, when you have a project that you have key people coming together, having access to certain opportunities definitely exists. So you can show that if you are going to be a winner, then there's a likelihood you can get your idea getting some investment opportunity and matchmaking coming through. And of course, one of the key things, we are promoting digital literacy. And so whatever it is that we are doing, we intend to have people who believe that using digital is the way to go. And so we'll be supporting with our winners with some key tools. Like we are explaining to you, Slack is a key tool that people are using across the globe. And if you don't know about it, how did you use it? So we're going to show you how some of these things can come good for you as well. Putting it all together, that's an awesome package, in my personal opinion, for you to be part of this first SDG Innovation Challenge. Of course, we are targeting startups, youth, innovators, agripreneurs, entrepreneurs. If you have got any idea, this is the platform to be on. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of this. And on behalf of my team, Lars, Emmanuel, and Emmanuel, we got two Emmanuels on this team. So on both of the sides, I wish you all the very best and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Kobina. That was truly insightful and a really good introduction, a well-worded introduction to some of the features of the SDG Innovation Challenge 2020, the maiden event connected to the largest youth engagement platform for sustainable development in Africa. It is now my pleasure to well, pleasure if you want to to introduce you to some of the features that we will be using and to the process. Kobina already mentioned the technology and tools. I will very briefly touch base upon this. Share my screen, and again also here setting the expectations. Don't expect the highly produced or polished PowerPoint. We're here to innovate. We're here to make things work. We're here to collaborate. So also to set the tone right. The upcoming 50 hours is an innovation marathon. It is lean. It is maybe confusing in the beginning, but trust in the process, be part of the process, and very, very importantly, be sure to stay engaged and connected, very well connected, because it is a fast-paced process. And I like to say, you snooze, you lose. That is, of course, not the idea. So make sure you stay engaged. You are connected to Slack. We'll be sending all the announcements there. And in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I will give you a quick run through of what you can expect going forward. Allow me to very quickly share my screen with you. And as you can tell very quickly, I am already using the materials that are available in our shared event folder, as Kobina mentioned. So first of all, technology. Kobina mentioned it all. Just want to be sure that you have full access to what we just said and what we just talked about. There's four primary platforms we will be using over the next 50 hours. Slack, which is an interactive collaboration and communication platform. Very, very well suited for this kind of activities, for teamwork, to increase team productivity. For example, at the Melton Foundation, we work globally. I have colleagues in the south of Chile. I'm based in Santiago, Chile. Colleagues in the USA, colleagues in India, colleagues in Ghana, across Africa. So Slack is really, really, really a cool tool and a very useful tool to get teams together, regardless of where they are. So Slack is one of the tools we'll be using. You all have received an invitation to join. Make sure to use to use this invitation to activate the account. And when you're activating account, very important, set your name so that people can identify you, because that will be key going forward. The next tool we're using is Google Suite, Google Drive, which offers a lot of productivity tools that will be helpful, will be useful throughout the 50 hours. Of course, there's tons of incredible technology out there, novel platforms, engaging stuff, etc., etc. We tested many of it, and at the same time, our commitment to the SDG Innovation Challenge is technology should be a facilitator. It should not be a hindrance. So that's why Google is available to most of us, not to all of us, but to most of us, to many of us, and has a lot of tools that will be useful and can be useful throughout events. Hence, our shared event folders is on Google. You have all been added. You have full access, and here also the invitation. As we progress, as we're launching, plunging, so to say, into the SDG Innovation Challenge, make sure you read your way through. There's a lot of information in there. Don't get overwhelmed. we're here to help, we're here to support, but important is that you take an active lead, an active role in this process, read up on the information, and position yourself for success. Another channel, Corbin, I mentioned this, is YouTube. We have set up a YouTube channel for the SDG Innovation Challenge with a designated playlist, which we are using. It is available to you now, which we will be using to help pace the process. 50 hours of innovation marathon can be quite, exhausting at times. And at the same time, it is easy to get lost along the way. So hence, our commitment to the process is that we help pace the process. However, it's in your own hands and it's in your responsibility to follow up. You can be slower, you can be faster. That's perfectly fine. Whenever we send an announcement on Slack, we will be using one of the video impulses to pace the process, as I said, together sharing together with one of the folders that we have created for each stage, so to say, throughout the SDG Innovation Challenge. Important to mention is that some of you are familiar with design thinking, which is fabulous. And we will be using design thinking as the base methodology, so to say, for this SDG Innovation Challenge. Hence, also the process will be paced along the way. And last but not least, email. Leaving no one behind is not just the theme or the commitment of the Agenda 2030, but it's also something that we want to be mindful of, so that the important announcements and the important information, not everything, very important, keep in mind, not everything, but the important announcements will also be cross-posted in email, so that if you have difficulties with Slack and you need us to troubleshoot, in the meantime, you would still get your updates by email. So that's about the tools. I would assume that most of you or many of you are familiar with it, which is a good start, because 50 hours innovation sounds a lot, but it's actually not if you want to come up with really cool and breakthrough ideas, tangible solution ideas, that we didn't want to, or we don't want you to, quote unquote, waste time in exploring new technology, but really working what is useful, what is purposeful, and get moving along that way, along that journey. Now, what does the journey look like? And also here, I see some of you already are in this document, which is great. We are starting today, you see, Monday, 26th of October, and it is about just after 6 p.m. GMT. Earlier today, and this is where our schedule starts, you received an email with onboarding information, with with details on where to go, etc. Now we're currently in our opening session happening on Zoom, and I briefly introduce you how the schedule works, so that you can use it going forward. So to the left, there's the time column, and it indicates kind of core times. All of the times that are in bold or in a highlighted in a color are fixed times. All the other times are, if you want, recommended times to keep pacing the process. All right. Next column is the name of activity, or whatever you can await or expect from at that time to happen. In the next column, then, is a short introduction, or with a description of what that is all about. And the last column, this is where it's interesting and where it's relevant, is where you usually find the information or where the things are happening. Hence, keeping a close eye on your schedule, on the schedule, helps. And as I said earlier, we will be pacing the process by the means of impulse videos that a design thinking coach and a sociologist and youth collaborator, so to say, from Chile has created for us. Her name is Barbara Mora, and she has gracefully and graciously put a lot of energy and time into creating these impulse videos, so that we together will be able to work our way through the 50 hours innovation marathon, and hopefully accomplish the goal together. So hence, if you look at the stage 1, stage 2, it's 6 stages, all based on the design thinking process, so to say. Stage 1 is team building. I will be talking about this shortly. Later this evening at approximately 8 o'clock GMT, we will be opening our first virtual launch. So this is an activity, it's I would call it in not structured open space that you can use as participants. We facilitate the space, we open the Zoom room, but it's really your opportunity to connect, to request breakout rooms, to get together in your team, or just to meet with your colleague, SDG innovators from across the world, to know what is happening elsewhere, what people are working on elsewhere, and really also to build this network that we need to build, this community that we need to build around moving the sustainability, sustainable development goals forward. Now, moving on to tomorrow, we're still on today, moving on to tomorrow, by 10 a.m. GMT, all teams must be formed and registered. So that is the 1 out of 2 fixed non-negotiable deadlines. So that is, as Corbiner mentioned, teams, the SDG Innovation Challenge is based on teams. So that is groups formed around common interests of 4 to 7 people, not less than 4 and not more than 7, will come together over the next hours around the topic, do team formation, do team building. We have an impulse prepared for this, and we'll share this information with you. And by tomorrow, 10 a.m. GMT, the latest, need to be registered as a team. So what does team registration mean? The link is in here, so you find it here, but we'll also share it with you in our Slack space. Team registration means that A, you have a team formed with 4 to 7 people. B, you have given yourself a team name. C, you have a short description of what you will be working on. D, you list all the participants forming part of this team. Remember, not less than 4 and not more than 7. Magic number 4 to 7, that's the number for our teams. And last but not least, 1 contact point on the team that we as facilitators and co-organizers can reach out to touch base on process, etc., and offer support along the way. Along the way, so to say. Then moving on slowly but surely, introducing stage 2, which will be related to empathizing. So that is unpacking a problem first, moving then on, excuse me, into stage 3, which is all about defining. So that is in order to develop a useful and meaningful solution, we need to be quite specific on what we're actually here to what the problem is before we go into the solution space. So hence also design thinking, again, is the base method. So that is we stay within the problem space for quite a bit to make sure we understand, we look at the problem from different perspectives before we actually go into the innovation space. And that is then stage 4 is the ideation stage. So that is where you can get really creative, and that's what all of us are looking forward to the most for tomorrow. So for tomorrow, expect a lot of activity to happen. We have scheduled 2 question and answer hours in between, where we will open Zoom and facilitators are available to field your questions, to support along the to support you with particular questions you may have, either be it team, either be it how to use tools, whatever it really is. It is an additional offer to have airtime, quote unquote, to discuss things, because sometimes talking about things helps resolve matters quickly or more effectively. Also, all the questions and you may have, do use the designated channel on Slack, which is called Help, which we are monitoring on a regular basis, and will also provide feedback on an ongoing basis. One Q&A hour is scheduled for 1 to 2 p.m. GMT tomorrow, and the second 5 to 6 p.m. Again, this is not, don't feel obliged to attend, but if you have questions, this is really a good opportunity for you to connect. And same as we talked about for later today, at 20 hours, that is 8 p.m. GMT, we will again open our virtual launch, and this is a space, social space for you to connect, for you to get to know each other, crack a few jokes, have fun, have a laugh, etc. And of course also we'll be around, or some of us will be around to field questions along the way. And that leads us to our last day. So that is 50 hours, spans 3 days. We can all do the maths, just a little more than 3 days. And the last day is really, really, really important, just as all the other days, but here is the second non-negotiable deadline at 5 p.m. GMT. That is the deadline when every team needs to have submitted their solution idea. As Corbin mentioned earlier, the submission of the solution idea means that you will be producing a video or an audio to pitch your the proposal or the solution that you have developed throughout the SDG Innovation Challenge. And here, video or audio, we are opening this option, considering that bandwidth in uploading maybe an issue, and videos usually take a little longer. So we give you the reason of the doubt to also consider audio. Of course, preferred is video, and this goes together with a team submission form or cover sheet, as you want to call it, where you provide more information about, how the process, how you work, what is it that you're doing is or proposing to do, etc. These two informations, or these two materials, the pitch, that is video or audio, and together with the cover sheet with the written information about the project, will then be handed to our panel of judges, who, following the event, will get in action, assess the materials, revisit the solutions based on fixed criteria, in order to identify the 3 winning teams, one for each section, or one for each SDG area. So we will have 1 winning team for SDG focus area 3, 1 winning team for SDG focus area 4, and 1 winning team for SDG focus area 9. In between, on Wednesday, again, excuse me, we will be pacing process with the impulse videos, introducing the last but one stage, prototyping, which is very important in design thinking, to actually have a tangible, a physical, or a graspable representation of the idea. And the last stage then is testing, where you should be going out to actually work out if the solution that you're proposing makes sense, and then produce the final presentation for the judges. Again, there's a Q&A hour scheduled from 12 to 1, which you can use, which you're free to use or not. And last but not least, following the submission deadline at 5 p.m., we have another roundup call altogether in this plenary on this very forum to conclude our 50 hours innovation marathon, to conclude the maiden SDG Innovation Challenge. And this is an opportunity to come together again, to touch base, to debrief, to have a quick conversation, and of course also to launch the initiatives and I'm sure incredible work that all of you will be doing, and come up with proposals that you come up with, to launch them into the next stage. And we'll be talking more about what is ahead, etc. On that day. So now, before I move on, I wanted to ask, and feel free to unmute, we're now in the space that we can discuss and unmute, raise question. Is there any question regarding how the SDG Innovation Challenge 2020 works? And the good thing is that silence, I usually take it as a no, that everything is clear, but I wanted to be sure that everybody feels enabled and empowered to use the unmute button. I'm not monitoring the chat at this moment, so feel free to unmute if there's any questions, if there's any concerns. Otherwise, I'll be moving quickly over to the team formation process, which we will be initiating in this call, just the first series of activities, and then we take this forward into our Slack space. Are there any questions regarding the schedule? All right. Excellent, excellent. Well, that means that either I lost you completely or everything is clear. I go with the second one because that's more comforting. And now very quickly moving on into team formation. So team formation in the virtual space. Team formation is the challenge between now and tomorrow, 10 a.m. GMT. I mentioned this before. Remember that 10 a.m. GMT is the deadline for you to register teams. All the materials, we will share them after this call. You will find them in our shared folder. And team formation in the virtual space is quite challenging. And then again, it is a really good opportunity to transcend boundaries that usually come with physical spaces, which Zoom and other virtual tools make open up breakthroughs so that we can actually engage with SDG innovators, colleague innovators from across the continent, even across the world. Hence, the team formation process may appear a little messy in the beginning, but then again, it really depends a lot on your proactivity and also how you engage with the other participants. So there's 4 resources that you should consider for this process. One is Slack. So on Slack, we have created a designated team formation channel, which will be super busy, very busy. I hope it will be very busy going forward over the next couple of hours. At random times in the day and the night, there is not much time to actually complete the mission of bringing team together, that you can use to shout out what you're working on, what you're interested in, listen into what others are saying, signal your interest. Hey, that sounds interesting. How can we be part, or how can I be part of the activity, etc. The second thing is a document that we have created, which is called Converging Problems and Ideas, and I will show this to you very shortly. So this is a document that actually pretty much the idea behind it is to condensate the conversation that is happening on Slack in a more digestible manner. So Slack can be very noisy because a lot of people talking in the space. That means writing. And here for the converging problems and ideas. So what we have created, that is a space where we start to consolidate teams around common interests. What does it mean? So there's 2 ways actually how you can use this document. One way is to if you have a challenge that you would want to work on in the as part of the SDG Innovation Challenge, then you use this to add the theme that you're working on, that is SDG 4, 3, or 9, the challenge that you're proposing. I saw, short parenthesis, I saw a hand raised. I'm not entirely sure. If you can raise your hand again, I will come back to you very shortly after. Thank you. And of course, going back to the document, sorry, and who is proposing the ideas, so that whoever's interested to team up with you can actually find you and connect with you on Slack to discuss further, or also on this document, because then here I would like to work on this challenge. You add your name if you're interested to work on this, right? So that's how it works. So that is one thing, is by proposing a challenge and asking others to sign up for it. And the second way how you work with this document is look through the challenges that are being proposed between now and tomorrow, 10 a.m. GMT, and add your name to the one that you find meaningful and interesting. All of this is available in our shared drive, and use it, make this your home, your working base, your community base, and bring this to life in your own in your own time and in your own space, so to say. A third resource, going back to, no, let me get to Justice very quickly. Ray has raised his hand for quite a while, so Justice, I'll be pausing very quickly before moving on with the resources and give you the mic.
Okay, thank you. My name is Justice Mukaro from Zimbabwe. I was following earlier, it was said that there's around 90 of us that were selected, and then there are 3 focus areas to be picked. So it appeared as if they were going to allocate 30 participants for each focus area. So from what you're saying now, we are allowed to choose our own focus area, is it?
Really good question. Thank you for raising this. So what we have done is with your registration form, you signed up with a specific SDG focus area. This is what we're using as the initial part of the team formation, to put you together in focus groups, so to say that each group will have approximately 30 people to get the team formation process going. However, if you're not happy with this group, or if you don't find your team in the SDG, for example, 4 area, then you're free definitely also to look at different areas and see what is out there, what you can contribute to the team, and also how your knowledge and expertise can also contribute to bring SDG areas together, because that is also part of this challenge. We tend to work and think in quote unquote silos. And part of the challenge is also there's so much interconnection and so much, leverage points that can be drawn and can be activated if we bring the pieces together. So you can actually be that leverage point. You can stick to the SDG that you signed up with, or you can also move to another area, contributing with your background, with your knowledge throughout the process. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I'm answered. Thank you.
Excellent, and thank you for that question. Really good question, because that takes me, that was a very nice bridge also to the next resource, the participant directory, which is one of the resources that you should definitely consider also for the team building process or team formation process. This is the directory that has data of all the participants who have signed up in this Zoom meeting. Not everybody is who has signed up is part of the Zoom call. That's why we're recording, that's why we're sharing the meeting, but everybody should be using Zoom and is subscribed also to our Slack space. So the participant directory is a key resource also as you're forming your teams, in a sense that you can go there, access the directory, see who is actually forming part of the SDG Innovation Challenge, and look at what kind of skills they bring to the table, what area they're interested in, also what challenges they are observing in their community, which gives you an opportunity to also reach out directly to other participants and say, hey, I saw you working on ABCD area. Are you interested in working with me, and let's do this together? Or alternatively, you could say, going back to Justice's question, even though it's a different SDG area, but the participant has skills that you would need on your team, go through the skills section, identify the people who have kind of who bring the knowledge in these areas that you would want to see on your team also, and reach out and say, and ask them if they want to form part of your team in that way. So the participants directory is a tool for you to use. We the organizers, as facilitators and organizing, we're not driving this process. It's very, very important for you to keep in mind when we're so to say we're the coaches on the bench, probably shouting across the playing field, and I'm using a mental image of the soccer field. So if you want to follow me, I'm not a big soccer fan, but that's the first thing that came to mind. So we'll be outside of the playing field, supporting as we can, hopefully also giving some advice along the way, but you are really the ones to driving the game. So these resources are for you to use and also for you to leverage. Another resource is the Impulse video. I talked about this earlier, team building. This is available in our YouTube channel, so I'm not talking much about this. With this Impulse, with different Impulse videos, that there are also templates, worksheets or materials that we will be introducing as part of the video Impulse. They are also all available on Drive, so that you don't have to whip it up on your own behalf. You can go back to Drive and use this. Last but not least, the team registration, and this is, I saw some question around this also in the Slack already, in the team formation Slack channel. The team registration that is by tomorrow 10 a.m. and I'm repeating the deadline very often because it is a hard deadline for all participants who have not found a team. You should get in touch with us early if you need help to find a team, because past 10 a.m. GMT, only participants who are actually part of a team can proceed, can take the next step in the SDG Innovation Challenge. So team registration is when you actually log in your team. I can show this. Again, it's a simple Google Doc. It looks as follows. That let's look at the example, and then it's pretty much the empty template for you to fill in. What you need is the team name, the team challenge. So that is, what is the challenge you'll be tackling, you're looking to tackle, the team members, and a team contact point. Team contact point is important, particularly for us as organizers and facilitators, because we may want to reach out to the team coordinators occasionally just to check in to see how things are going, etc. And of course, also the team coordinator, if that is something that you want, can be the person, and maybe the person also to, I don't know, voice challenges or issues that have come up in the team, and that contact person or that team contact would then be the point to bring it to us. But that is up to you in your team. Very important is that 10 a.m. Tuesday GMT is the time to fill in the blanks, and I see there's already one blank filled, so congratulations to the team igniters. Well done, well done, well done. And there's a couple of teams left and open still, and of course the copy and paste, feel free to add on. We left the template open, so that is, whenever the already created fields are filled up, don't hesitate to set up a new field. What is important for teams? And I mentioned this very quickly. So for teams, 4 to 7 people, repeating this again, and also the more diversity you can bring into your team, hence using the participants directory for skills, for also considering, teaming up across SDG areas, will help you along the way, because diversity brings a lot of creativity into the team and novel perspectives. And when we are talking about SDG innovation, they really thrive with different perspectives, with disruptive solution ideas. This is what we need, and this is also what we want to spark and inspire throughout this process. Now, with that said, we are pretty much, sorry, I'm jumping around here and taking you along this journey as I'm sharing screen. We are pretty much in the space now to use use a few more minutes to field questions. If you have questions, then we can certainly address them here in this forum. And if not, we will be using 10 minutes. We started 10 minutes late, so we'll add on the 10 minutes to set up the initial teams. And this is also going back to the question Justice raised. The initial groups that we are setting up in breakout rooms here on Zoom will be focus SDG related, that you indicated as part of your registration. If that is not your place to be, then you can step out of the Zoom room, of the breakout room, and move on to another group. But before we go into that, I want to make sure that we have the space and time to field any additional questions that there may be. You can raise your hand, or you can unmute right away, whatever works best for you. All right. Silence is golden, and I take this as... Yes, please.
Good morning.
Hello, Emmanuel.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning, Les.
How are you? Fire right away.
Yeah, my name is Eric, but I used the Emmanuel Nyiragwiga to be connected.
Perfect, no problem at all. I see you have a question.
Yeah, so I would like to know how you plan to monitoring and make an evaluation of projects or ideas again the competition or in this challenge, because we are in different countries. How do you plan to do that?
That is a great question, and I invite my dear colleague Corbina from Tech Farm Ghana, who's leading the monitoring and evaluation. Of course, also Emmanuel Marfo from Grassroots Hub Ghana, who is working with judges and mentors to field that question. Fire away, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
So is Emmanuel Marfo, Kobina,
I have a question.
if you're still around, feel free to field that question.
Hello, I have a question. Hello.
Hello, yes.
Can I talk?
Absolutely, please go ahead. Is that Victoria?
All right. About the formation of the team. How do I go about it? Should I go offline before adding or registering for the team or what?
Very good question. So the team formation happens in the virtual space. We'll be using a few minutes now in this call to get the initial conversation going, but that's really only the starting point. So you have until tomorrow, 10 a.m. GMT, to actually come together with your team. There's two key resources, and I would heavily recommend if you're not yet connected to Slack, to the designated Slack workspace for the SDG Innovation Challenge, to do so. In that Slack space, you will find a channel called Team Formation, which is already quite active. So paying close attention in that channel, voicing the challenge that you care about or that you're working on, that you would bring to this challenge, and really rallying around this cause to find people who either team up with you on that particular challenge, or look for a team that is working on something similar where you could contribute in a meaningful way to that particular team also and form part of you bringing your expertise to another team. So that is, it is a process. It may appear a little messy in the beginning, but important really is that following closely the conversation on Slack and looking out for the right bites, because they're not sound bites, to what appears important to you, and also for you to contribute with the challenge so that people can also come to you and discuss further. Does it answer your question?
Yes, please. So what you are saying is we have from now up to tomorrow 10 a.m.
Correct. To come together as a team. Yes. Yes. By tomorrow 10 a.m.
on Slack. On Slack?
Yes, on Slack. So after this call, we will be sharing the more information about team formation. We have put together some key resources in our shared folder on Drive, which has much more information. But Slack is the way to engage. So if you're paying close attention to the team formation channel on Slack, then that's the space that you should use to come together and form a group and then register, log in this team by registering it by tomorrow 10 a.m. GMT.
All right. My name is Victoria Amo, and I'm calling from Ghana.
It's good to have you on this group, Victoria. Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm also pleased to be part of the team.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great. Well, moving back to Eric or Emmanuel's question earlier about the evaluation and also the assessment of the ideas, considering the diversity that we're having. Just wanted to touch base with Kobina, Tech Farm Hub, or Emmanuel Marfo, who's working with judges and mentors, if you have a response and answer to Emmanuel's question.
Thank you. So quick answer to that is that the judging criteria, innovations that are coming into the space, the team is supposed to decide where you're going to pilot your initiative. So if you are coming from somebody's in Nigeria, Ghana, or any other country, so you select a pilot country where you do that as a case study for your initiative. So as part of the incubation process, it can change. Maybe you agree that you're going to pilot your project in Nigeria, but during the incubation process, mentorship advice and all the lessons could say that, okay, let's go and start let's start a project here. So it might not need that you have to move from your country to come to Ghana or before you can work on. So basically to help you as a team to decide on coming with a solution and seeing how some of these initiatives are also replicated in other countries. And the judges are going to look at that. So for instance, if the initial stage for your initiative is maybe to start in Nigeria, maybe let me say Lagos, and then as you is going to have a plan, implementation plan. As part of the implementation plan, you're going to decide which country is going to be the next country to implement your initiative. So this is part of the judging criteria where we intend to see initiatives that can also work in other countries, not to say maybe it's working in Ghana alone. It should be able to work in other cities as well. So pay attention to those as well. And then the judges are going to guide you on that. Some few things that is key to monitoring, which I'm sure Kobina from Tech will also add up to with the monitoring aspect.
Okay, thank you
very
so
much. Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for the great input you made in there. In adding up to what you've just said, there's going to be a lot of interaction with our potential winners, as well as those who are actually going to go through these initial stages. One of the things is that we're going to be sending across some M&E tools, including your views, your comments, requesting that you share your thoughts, your experiences, and your expectations whilst you're going through the SDG Innovation Challenge. We intend to have a relational experience during, before, during, and after the SDG Innovation Challenge. And so you are literally going to be part of a group of people who are going to still be engaged with. And so there are certain informations that occasionally we'll be asking of you so as to keep that relationship going with you even after the duration of the challenge. Going forward, you would be encouraged to make sure that you engage more on Slack and also review your Google Drive and look out for our shared documents. Make sure that these two places are places you regularly visit within the next 50 hours, because most of the communications will be going through those channels, and you will need to stay up to date to make sure that you make the best out of the time that we have at our disposal. I would wish that you ask questions as well. You do have organizers and you do have some facilitators on board. I would encourage that if you are a participant, ask questions, anything that becomes a bother to you that you need clarification on, including timelines and activities like that, how to go into your Google Drive and get access to documents and all that. Ask questions so that you can be proactive in getting the results that we are expecting of you as a member. In all that, I thank you very much for the input.